Hello guys, welcome back to the crew calling all units. Comparison test number 17, I think we still were. This is the second part for the sports category in performance. So in the 17A we did the first 8 cars for sports, and now I have another 8 cars in 17B. So we are still in the sports category. And we start with a 736 horsepower Mercedes C63 AMG Black Series. It is night here, it has been raining again. That seems to be a bit of a problem on this track, since it is located in the south, bit north of Dakota and a bit north of Daytona, I mean, and going towards Chattanooga. Very often it's raining here, and then I have to wait to record. This thing is pretty heavy, but yeah, it has the power though. But it understeers a little bit, and at the same time oversteers a little bit, so. But it's kinda okay. Kinda like this car, driving around in it, but we will see if that means that it's also good time-wise. You can have some fun with this car because you can really slide it through the corners. The first 8 cars we sort of had the Lotus Exige as winner with a 230.0. So we will see what we can get out of these 8 cars coming up now. I have been thinking about it though that, well, there are 85 performance specs at this moment, and doing a winner battle with the top 10 at the end, that might be a bit short. I might make a top 15 out of it. I will see the times and all, because we have 8 categories in performance. And already coming 2 from sports category, because I made 2 videos from that. Because otherwise we had 16 cars in one video, that would have taken it a bit too long. So I split them up. And it's even worse for the supercars. Supercars which come up in the next videos. There are I believe 23 of them, so I might have to do 3 videos. Which means we have more winners, of course, and then I'm also guessing that the hypercars, for instance, will be the fastest of the lot, and there are about 6 or 7 of those. A 234.0. I'm guessing it is a bit too heavy, and it's like a bit about too much for this Mercedes. But nevertheless, it is an enjoyable car to have some fun with. But it's 4 seconds slower than an Exige, so no, not really. This probably won't be it. Seeing I kinda know what's still coming. Next up, the Mercedes SL63 AMG. 997 horsepower, that is a lot. Mine sticks to the road here in the beginning. But for some reason, don't have anything against Mercedes, but for some reason in this game I don't drive them that much. Except the C63 AMG Black Series, I kinda spent some time in that one, but in the other ones, no, not really. Spent a bit of time in the SLR722 in circuit spec, but like this one, how many 360 kilometers I have done in this thing, and that's mainly because we had to use it once in a brand time attack in the summit. Other than that, it's just in the garage and it most of the time stays there. It slides about when I'm out of nitro already at this point, and that's mainly because, yeah, you can see it, it's lacking acceleration. But once it's going, I think it's a bit lighter than the C63 actually. So once it's going, it might be going at higher speeds. Didn't pay attention to the C63 speedometer when we were going around, but kind of strange sound though, in a way. If you just heard the C63 engine, they're all the 6.2 AMG, 6.2 V8 AMG engine, which is in many of their cars at that point. I think they have downsized it now, and they are sort of working with 2 turbo systems now. But back in the days that they made this car with a 233.8, just 2/10 faster than the C63 actually, and that probably has to do with the weight. But back in those days it were all the 6.2 V8 engine, and for some reason they called it 63 instead of 62. 576 horsepower for this Nissan 370Z, which is one of the starter cars, and yeah, it's not even that bad in most of the specs, but performance is probably the worst spec for this car. Although it's not super in rate either, but yeah, maybe rated even worse than this one. But in circuits it's not that bad, it's actually pretty good. In street spec there are better cars around, but also there it is drivable. And in dirt spec it's also even not that bad. Although I believe they have patched a little bit the starter cars with the release of calling all units. But still, if you hit the brakes too hard steering into a corner, it's going to go sideways a bit too much. But it has definitely improved, I find, or that might have something to do with putting it at 4097 and getting a little bit more grip. That's also possible. But it still slides about, as you can see, in these last corners here. And that makes that you lose some time. That is how it go. 236.4, which is the slowest from the ones we have tested in this video. So that's not gonna win either. Maybe this one. 635 horsepower. The Nissan Skyline GT-R R34. Let's see what this one can do in V-spec. So the same sound as the street spec. A bit understeering. Bit much understeering apparently. But it has the acceleration, I guess. Seen it is the fastest accelerating street spec, but for the cars at least. In street spec it kinda oversteers, but in performance spec it seems to understeer. Yeah, you see on the forums or such, which is the best car in this game? Oh, Skyline, no, not really. I think I already mentioned it in the street spec videos. In street spec it's one of the best, that is for sure. And in some of the other specs it's pretty decent, but just not in the top 3 or so. But just like the other Nissan, the 370Z, the same goes more or less for this one. It's probably the worst spec in this game that it has. It's one of the top in street, it's very usable in dirt as well, and in raid. Circuit, pretty good speed there as well. It's one of the best monster specs. Track car can also be used, especially if it's raining, and so on. So in my opinion, performance spec is the worst of all of them, because it has all the specs in this game, although it is not a starter's car, but I'm guessing for iconic reasons they also gave it all the specs available. Oh, I hit a car there halfway, so might subtract 2 seconds or so, but even then we would still be at 237, and now we have a 239.8. Nope. Might be a wanted car for iconic reasons, but in performance spec I would not advise you to buy it if you're short on bucks. And then we have this car, and that makes it a bit strange in my opinion. This is the new GT-R, the R35, calling all units car, and what I find strange is that the Porsche Cayman, which is called rough in this game, it's tuned to Cayman, that's a sports car. Nissan 370Z, a sports car, I can all understand that. But then you have the rough RT, which is basically a tuned Porsche 911, and this car is supposed to be the competition for that. That is a supercar in this game, while the R35 here with 805 horsepower, they have put that one in the sports category. Just like in the hot hatches, where the Ford Focus had an advantage over the two others, wall ride capacities. And the same goes for this one. Whoa. If I can get through here, that is. This one can also wall ride, although you will lose some speed. It's not like you don't lose any speed like you had with the Ford Focus. What you also just saw there, it is pretty solid. You can hit a car with it. It's with my old new Need for Speed World friend, who is also in this game now. we have done a couple of great missions and we use this car and it's pretty usable there to mess about with the cops. Yep, it can wall ride, but you do lose some speed out of it, but less than you would brake. The problem is it has a bit of a long fifth gear, and that kind of makes it die out on top speed at the end, and because handling wise it's a pretty good one. But as you can see, it's still in fifth gear. I don't think we have even touched sixth on this track here yet. Maybe in the beginning. Bit of wheel spin. But 228.8, the fastest time we have done here so far, and that's even faster than the Exige, which saw the the first video of the sports. So a 222.8. Okay, let's see if something can beat it. That's mainly on this track though, with the wall ride capacities. It would probably be slower if you go to another track where you can't wall ride. The rough 3400k, which is sort of a tuned Cayman. 579 horsepower this thing has. It can also take a hit, but it is a bit, yeah, it's a bit unstable. I kept it pretty straight there on the bridge because otherwise we would have probably some two-wheel action. Kinda dies out here on 330 kilometers an hour. And it goes a bit all over the place, but if you can keep it going and don't hit too much traffic, this thing keeps going. To my own surprise, I haven't driven this so much. 190 kilometers I have. And a lot of that was because I've been doing crate missions to upgrade some of these cars. And that's where probably the 190 kilometers come from. Because I think it had done 20 kilometers in this thing or so. It's one of those cars that kept in my garage most of the time. But at 4097 it seems to be, I don't know. It smoothly goes over the track in a way. It's not that big, so it's easy to maneuver. But this is kind of the point where you lose it, I think. If you're dealing with some difficulties like these bumps here in the footpath and all that, then it's really going all over the place. But even then, we're even coming close to the time of the GT-R. Yeah, well, sorta. 229.8. Let's say a small 230. So not even that far off. This is more the 8 cars that I've done in this video, they seem to be a bit more closer than the first 8 that I've done. Subaru BRZ, 597 horsepower. Just like the Skyline, one of the top 3 cars in street spec. But if you compare it with the Skyline, then this is more usable. In that aspect that, well, this only has 3 specs. Well, 4 if you count the drift, but talking about the normal road specs. In streets it's top 3, in dirt it is not that bad either. I've done many PvP events with the Subaru. Let's say if you're in a medium to easy lobby, you can definitely win with this thing in dirt. And also in performance it is definitely not that bad. I haven't used it much in drift, maybe that's also a pretty good one. Seen it's pretty small as well. But we have the RX-7 there, so we mostly the time we use the RX-7. And I don't have this one in drift at 4097 yet, so... but I might test that. Just like in street spec, a long 4th and a long 5th gear, and that makes that you hardly ever gonna touch the 6th gear. If it has one, I assume it does. But on this track we're not gonna reach it. But it always keeps the high revs up, and that makes it sort of go smooth around. Just like it does in the street spec, which that one works better in manual gear. That might be the same for this one. If you can stay out of 6, because that's sort of where it drops down to a lower RPM and then you have no power, or at least that's how it feels like. But in 4th and in 5th it's always screaming about, but it also moves. So yeah, it goes forward, that's for sure. Also this one in the 330 range. 230.094, which is just a little fraction slower than the Exige, which was the winner in the previous video. So it's definitely we have a 228 for the GT-R due to the wall riding capacities, a 229 for the rough, and we have a 230.0 for this Subaru BRZ. So it's pretty close in this one. We will see what we do later with the times. Otherwise it might be that I take the rough and the BRZ as well into a top 15 or so winners battle at the end of the performance spec. But there are quite some categories to come first. 536 horsepower wheel spinning TVR Sagaris. That's sort of what it comes down to. Used this a couple of times. I've done 670 kilometers in it, and that mainly has to do with the fact that we had to use it in a brand time attack at one point, and in the summit, and because it's wheel spinning and it slides all over the place, if you really push it, had to do many tries in that event. And as you know, if you're familiar with the summit, they are repeating last year's summit qualifiers again this year, because they don't seem to do anything about it yet at this moment. And that meant that in the beginning of January, one of the qualifiers, we had to use this thing again on the same track that we had to do it last year. And that is the reason why I have 600 kilometers in this thing, because in free drive I haven't taken it out of the garage. You throw it in the corner and then it sort of dives in a way. And on a track like this, which is kind of twisty, I'm assuming that some of the supercars and hypercars will be faster, but yeah, then again, this is a twisty track and it might be in favor of the smaller cars, like the BRZ, like the Exige, while they're probably doing the fastest times here at this moment. GT-R and the Focus, yeah, they could wall right here, but that's where they got the benefit from. We'll see what we can do here with a new Wyra and an Agera, and they should go faster, at least speed-wise. But twisty, not so high speed track, and then at the end here we have some city streets. We'll see. I might have to find another track for the winner's battle to get a more accurate feel of the performance specs. 237.1, I hit a car in the beginning, so even if you subtract 2-3 seconds for this car, then it still would not be amongst the fastest in this video, that's for sure. So what do we have here as the fastest one? The GT-R 228.8 due to the wall riding capacities mostly. Followed 1 second later by the RAV 3400 and the Subaru BRZ. So for this second sports video, that's sort of what we are doing. We had 17A sports and 17B is also sports, so then we have covered the sports. 16 cars in performance sports. And so we in the first video we had the Lotus Exige as the winner, and now we have the Nissan R35 as the winner. And in the hot hatch category, which was the first one, we had the Ford Focus. So we have 3 cars that already go to the winner's battle, and then later on I will see what I will add. Next up is the supercars, but I still have to upgrade quite a bit, and there are 23 cars in that category, and I have about half of them I still have to upgrade to 4097. So I can buy some parts and I can grind a bit. It will take a bit longer before they are up, and I'm also still have to do quite some of the top speed run series videos. See you guys in the next one, and bye for now.